Hi everyone, it's me again. As promised, I'm gonna do the analysis for the third episode of Higurashi Sotsu. As many of you know, the first timeline, the first arc is finally finished, and boy, the way it ended was just gruesome. Man, I can't even come up with the right words because goodness, it was just horrifying. But anyway, let's begin. So the episode begins with Rena digging a hole to hide Rena's body parts, and this scene alone has a lot of symbolism. We see that numerous moths are getting attracted to the light. As many of you know, or those who don't know, moths don't exactly have a good meaning or good symbolism. In Celtic culture, moths are associated with death and decay. So I really love how this scene is being portrayed. The moths are getting attracted to the light, but also very likely getting attracted to the dead body. So my god, this scene was just portrayed beautifully. I love this scene. Then the next scene we see is the club members playing zombie tag, and as you recall, Rena and Mion are victorious. And just as Rena is entering the school building, she overhears Keiichi's words or comment she makes about Rena. You know, when Rena literally used the woman card and also sacrificed Keiichi in order to save herself. Rena just misunderstands his words, and this causes her to get even more paranoid and more distrusting of Keiichi. And because of this increasement of paranoia, we see Rena returning to the same site where she buried Rena's body and exhumes it. We see once again the moths are getting attracted to the light and very likely the dead body. The next thing we see is the club members getting excited for the Watanagashi. They're getting pumped, and we see Rena is still very distrusting of Keiichi, and we see that she returns once again to the same location and starts exhuming Rena's body. I mean, at this point we already seen that Rena is already losing her mind. I mean, she's literally getting on her knees asking if she's getting punished for leaving Hinamizawa and asking when will the curse end. Then we see the Watanagashi start, and it's pretty brief. We see Tomitake meeting the club members, and as you know, Tomitake doesn't stay because something came up. We also see Rika's dance and everyone watching, and then we see Rena showing Keiichi how to do the cotton thingy. And as you know that in Higurashi Go, Rena leaves Keiichi's side to look for the others, thus leaving Keiichi alone. And as Keiichi's walking alone, wondering where everyone is, we see Rena watching Keiichi from afar, hidden within the trees, and we see her wondering if Keiichi knows the truth. As you recall, Keiichi went back to the dam construction without Rena knowing and nearly saw Rena hiding Rena's body. Then we see June 20 arriving, and we see Oishi arriving at the school and asking for Keiichi. This alone causes Rena to become even more paranoid because she thinks that Oishi's talking about her to Keiichi. Unfortunately, what Rena doesn't know that they're talking about Tomitake and Takano's disappearance. We even see Sadako arriving at the scene to make sure that Rena's paranoia continues getting worse. And we even see her slight smile when she's pleased to hear that Rena's neck is itchy. The next thing we see is like a dream as Keiichi is remembering, well, dreaming about that moment that he demanded to know if Rena and the rest of the club members are hiding stuff from him, and of course Rena calling Keiichi a liar and just freaking him out. We see Keiichi waking up from this nightmare and receives a call from Oishi, and just as this is happening, we see Rena arriving at Keiichi's home. This scene alone was quite creepy. We see Keiichi's dad telling Rena where Keiichi's room is and leaving to get some snacks, and we see Rena acting in this like cute persona, innocent personality, and once Keiichi's dad leaves, she switches her persona into this cold, calculated person. It was just very creepy. Just as Rena arrives to Keiichi's room, she overhears a little bit of Keiichi's conversation with Oishi when Oishi is gonna tell him about Rena's past. Unfortunately, Rena misunderstands what they're talking about. She leaves the house furious and decides that she still needs to work even harder. Then the following day arrives. You know what happens on this day? We see Keiichi's mom calling Rena to ask her to cook a meal for Keiichi. As you know, they're both away on a business trip. And Rena, of course, smiles when she learns that Keiichi's all alone at his home and she's granted access to his home. And we already see her preparing her tools and put them inside those bento boxes. It's just horrifying because most of those tools is just to cut the body and dispose of it. And just as Rena arrives to Keiichi's home, we actually see Rika watching from afar, hoping to see the outcome of this world changes. As you know, Rika talked to Keiichi a while ago and told Keiichi to trust Rena to get rid of the symptoms that he's already experiencing from the Hinamizawa syndrome. Unfortunately, this scene alone is just heartbreaking. We see Rika smiling when Keiichi opens the door and lets her inside. Unknown to her, we already know what's happening inside that home. I mean, we even see glimpses of, Rena losing her mind and literally starts attacking Keiichi with the knife, and Keiichi fighting for his life. It is just so sad because Rika's thinking, oh, this is over, it's finally over. So the following day arrives and we kind of know what happens on this day. We see Rika and Sadako arriving at the school only for them to learn about Rena's death and Keiichi's hospitalization. Hearing this devastating news, we see Rika decides to give up. She's done with this world and she decides to go home. We then see Sadako's disgusting, satisfied expression and saying, oh, I'll go check on her later. It's just so disgusting. I mean, I literally felt like punching Sadako in the face. Once home, Rika looks for a kitchen knife, points it at her neck, and stabs herself with the knife. It's just so horrifying, this scene alone. Everything about this scene alone is horrifying. We see that Rika is unsuccessful in killing herself the first time, and she has to continue slashing her neck with the knife over and over again. This scene reminded me of Demon Slayer. You know, when Tanjiro is stuck in a dream and in order to wake up, he has to slash his neck to wake up. He has to commit suicide. But we see that Rika, I guess, is just inexperienced in how to properly commit suicide without causing much pain. And it's just horrifying that she has to continue slashing her neck over and over again to kill herself. I mean, the moment she sees her reflection in her own pool of blood, it was just so horrifying. We then see Sadako arriving at their home, and we see that she's making sure that Rika is dead. As you know, the rule that Edward put in Higurashi Go, that in order for Sadako to chase the same Rika, Rika has to die first. Sadako cannot die first. After Sadako makes sure that Rika is dead, she slashes her neck with the same knife. And this is where the episode ends. We kind of know what happens after this incident. It was a pretty disturbing episode, but of course I still have some questions they were still left unanswered. I mean, we still don't know what happened to Tomitaka and Takano after the Watanagashi. We still don't know where did they went and all of that. Also, I noticed I was wrong about Teppei returning here. I'm guessing that Rena and Teppei weren't exactly close in this timeline, because as you know, the moment Rena disappears or gets killed, Teppei always returns. Also, we still have questions about who were those guys at the clinic. They could be mountain dogs, but who knows? Those guys are still unknown. We still don't know anything about them or what exactly is happening at the clinic. Also, we don't see any more of Keiichi at the end. As you know, when he wakes up at the hospital, he learns about what happened to Rena, and then the last thing we see of him, he's already suffering from the Hinamizawa syndrome, and it appears he's probably on L5 already. But the first arc, wow, it was just so creepy and disturbing. I could just imagine how bad the next arcs are gonna be, especially when we get answers for Nakodamashi. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope to see you on the next one.